On April 14, 1999, Hong Kong nightclub hostess Fan Man Yi died after suffering a month of brutal torture. After her murder, the killers shoved her head into a Hello Kitty stuffed animal. The case became known as the Hello Kitty murder and was regarded throughout Hong Kong as one of the most depraved crimes in memory. This is the unsettling story of the Hello Kitty murder case. Fan Man Yi was abandoned by her family as a child, resulting in her to be raised in an all-girls orphanage. By the time she was a teenager, she had developed a drug addiction and was turning to prostitution to pay for her habit. By 23, she had secured a job as a hostess at a nightclub, though she was still battling addiction. In early 1997, Fan Man Yi met Chan Man Lok, a 34-year-old socialite. The two met at the nightclub and discovered they had something in common. Fan Man Yi was a prostitute and a drug addict, and Chan Man Lok was a pimp and a drug dealer. Later in 1997, desperate for money and drugs, Fan Man Yi stole Man Lok's wallet and attempted to make off with the $4,000 inside it. She hadn't realized that Chan Man Lok was the last person she should have stolen from. As soon as he saw his cash was gone, Man Lok enlisted two of his henchmen to kidnap Man Yi. He intended to force her into prostitution for himself and take the money she earned as payback for the cash she had stolen from him. Before long, however, the plan had gotten out of hand. The drug lord and his henchmen soon decided that simply prostituting Fan Man Yi wasn't going to be enough and began torturing her. They tied her up and beat her, and for over a month subjected her to various horrors, burning her skin, raping her, and forcing her to eat human feces. Though the torture of Fan Man Yi was horrifying enough, perhaps more horrifying is the tale of the 14-year-old girl who reported her murder to the police. Not only was she responsible for turning the torturers in, but she was one herself. In May of 1999, a 14-year-old girl made her way to a Hong Kong police station. She told officers that for the past several weeks, she'd been constantly plagued by the ghost of a woman who had been bound by electrical wire and tortured to death. The police brushed her off, dismissing her claims as nothing but dreams or teenage nonsense. Their interest was piqued, however, when she explained that the ghost was of a woman she had a hand in murdering. Following the child back to a flat in the city's rundown Kowloon district, they discovered that the girl's dreams were in fact very real nightmares. It is possible that due to her plea deal, she was given a pseudonym where she is known only as Afong, and was believed to be another one of Chan Man Lok's prostitutes who would often visit the apartment where Fan Man Yi was being held captive. During Afong's police report, she described the torture she saw and at times participated in while visiting the apartment. In one instance, she recalls Fan Man Yi being beaten repeatedly with metal bars. In another instance, Fan Man Yi was kicked in the head around 50 times, in which Afong herself took part in, claiming she thought it was all for fun. Once the bleeding began, spices were rubbed into Fan's wounds. Her legs and feet were burned with candle wax and hot plastic so that she was unable to walk. She was forced to smile and say she enjoyed the beatings. If she refused, they subjected her to even harsher torture. This treatment eventually led to traumatic shock and ultimately death. After discovering she was dead, the killers moved the body to the apartment's bathtub and dismembered her with a saw. Then, they cooked individual pieces of her body to stop her from decomposing and emitting the smell of rotting flesh. Her skull was sewed inside of a Hello Kitty doll filled with dead insects, while the rest of the body was discarded. A tooth and some internal organs were found in a plastic bag by police. In exchange for protection, Afong testified against Chen Man Lok and his 2 henchmen. In an attempt to rid herself of the haunting she claimed to be experiencing, she detailed the torture that the 3 men put Fan Man Yi through. The story was so disturbing, many felt it could not possibly be true. The evidence uncovered by police was damning and disturbing. The apartment in which Man Yi had been tortured was full of Hello Kitty memorabilia, from sheets and curtains to towels and silverware. Furthermore, the body part trophies taken from Man Yi were found inside, with evidence that all 3 men had interacted with them. Unfortunately, due to the state of Fan Man Yi's remaining body parts, the police and medical examiners were unable to determine a cause of death. There was no doubt she had experienced indescribable torture, and that the 3 men had inflicted much of the damage to her body, but there was no way to tell whether a drug overdose or the torture was to blame. As a result, the 3 were convicted not of murder, but manslaughter, as the jury believed that though they had caused her death, death was not the intent. The charge left Hong Kong's public reeling from the Hello Kitty murder case, but the trio was sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole in 20 years.